The scouting combine has officially ended, and with all of the NFL scouts and coaches in the same building as the NFL reporters for this past week, we got a lot more rumors and reports circulating, and one of those reports / rumors could directly affect the Chargers and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. As a Chargers fan, this would be my dream scenario. And by the way, I am giving away a PS5 Spider-Man 2 edition. All you have to do is click my sign up link in the description and use my promo code to create your Underdog account and then deposit as much as $100 that will be matched. You don't need to make any plays if you don't want to, but you do have to deposit at least $10 in order to be entered into the PS5 giveaway. Also, if this play right here hits tonight, then I will be giving away 2 PS5s. This one is kind of crazy, but bro, can you imagine a $10 pick'em to win $1,000? I mean, that would be nuts, but not as nuts as Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Chargers at 5th overall, and this is how it could happen. So we all know that the Chargers' most likely scenario, or one of their most likely scenarios, is to trade down, just based off of what we've heard through reports so far. And if you look at the history of Joe Hortiz with the Ravens, along with how he talks about valuing every single draft pick, especially in the later rounds, then you could easily see them trading down and passing on a blue chip talent like Malik Nabers or Joe Alt even at 5th overall. Listen to what Joe Hortiz had to say about his philosophy with draft picks.
Yeah, I think you stick to the process of finding the best player, and it doesn't matter where you're picking in the draft. It's always important. It doesn't matter if it's the 5th pick or the 32nd. If you put a value of importance on the pick number, you're doing it wrong. Every single pick. Our 5th pick's important, our 2nd round pick's important, our 2 7th round picks are going to be important. Every single one. I've seen a player become a Pro Bowler from a 5th round. That matters.
And on top of that, Joe Hortiz has said that this draft class specifically is very deep at offensive line and wide receiver, which very subtly hints that you don't really need to draft that position as urgently as you would in a different year. So the value to trade down is even higher because you could still get a very high blue chip kind of player that in other years you wouldn't be able to in a trade down scenario at those 2 positions, O-line and receiver. But this all changes if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to 5, because we are talking about a generational prospect. I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but this guy is the real freaking deal, man. Would that be enough to force Joe Hortiz's hand and stay put at 5th overall and select the true best player available, and then maybe even the best player in this entire freaking draft? But first of all, why would Marvin Harrison Jr. even get past the first 4 picks? Well, it's clear that the Bears are going to be taking Caleb Williams at number 1. And then number 2, the Commanders probably going to take Drake May. If not Drake May, then definitely a quarterback. At 3, everyone kind of expects the Patriots to take a quarterback, and reports have started to surface of them wanting a quarterback and trading away Mac Jones. We'll see what happens there because that's not a certainty right now. They could either take JJ McCarthy or Jayden Daniels, and then at 4th overall, the Cardinals, they already have their quarterback in Kyler Murray, so if they're picking at 4, then they would definitely take Marvin Harrison Jr. But what if the Cardinals don't pick at 4, and they decide to actually trade down instead of the Chargers trading down? Now, it is very likely that a team is going to trade up for the 4th quarterback in the draft this year, which is likely going to be JJ McCarthy. And there is a lot of buzz around the NFL now after reporters and scouts and coaches were all together for this past week, mind you, that quarterbacks could go 1, 2, 3, and 4 overall. And there are a ton of teams that have been rumored to want to trade up to get their quarterback of the future in this draft. And none of these are scenarios that I think are like crazy or impossible. The first team that could trade up is the Broncos at 12. They just cut Russell Wilson and they're taking a huge 30+ million cap hit from his contract. So they definitely need a young quarterback for cheap, and they're going to be drafting one. But will they go all in and trade up? Or are they going to wait until day 2 and try to get a guy like Bo Nix or Michael Penix? They could even take Bo Nix or Michael Penix at 12 overall if they want to. I think it's more likely they wait and they don't trade up because they don't really have the draft capital to trade up. And, you know, it's very valuable for them right now because they're not in a great spot financially. So let's move on to the Raiders. The Raiders, they're at 13th overall, and they have Aiden O'Connell. Antonio Pierce has said several times that he is looking to upgrade the quarterback position. It is no secret. And Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo as well, neither of those guys are going to stop me from getting competition in that QB room and drafting a quarterback that I really like in the draft. Tom Telesco, as we know, he has a history of not only trading up in the first round, but also drafting his biggest need in the first round. The Raiders' biggest need right now, it's quarterback, and the Raiders are a division rival, so they might not want to make a trade with the Chargers, and then they could just decide to go one up and get the Cardinals pick and trade with them. And now the next team is the Falcons. They have the 8th overall pick. They've been rumored to be really aggressive this year to find their quarterback. The only problem is we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Kirk Cousins specifically in free agency, because there are reports that they're going to go after him pretty hard, and Zach Robinson is the Falcons offensive coordinator, so it makes sense because Kirk would fit that system pretty well. I also think JJ McCarthy would fit that system really well, and I think that's probably the best landing spot for JJ McCarthy is the Falcons. They have all those weapons. They have a great coach and great offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson. I think that's really being understated right now, how good of a landing spot the Falcons would be for any of these rookie quarterbacks. But maybe the Falcons just don't view any of these rookie quarterbacks as valuable enough to trade the farm to go up and get. And for that reason, that's probably why these reports are coming out that they want Kirk Cousins hard in free agency. We're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But the Falcons are definitely going to be aggressive in one way or the other in getting their quarterback. It could be trading up, could be Kirk Cousins. So now that leaves the New York Giants at 6th overall, right behind the Chargers. And the reports are that they are fed up with Daniel Jones. Bro, just listen to this.
The Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones. And they feel that ain't it. The words I heard at the combine multiple times, 2 words were buyer's remorse.
So will they stay at 6 and hope for a quarterback to fall to them? Or will they get aggressive and go up 2 spots to secure the quarterback of their future? They don't need to trade up with the way the draft is right now because the Cardinals and the Chargers are no threat at all to take a quarterback. But remember, there are going to be several teams that are trying to trade up for a quarterback. So even though the Giants, they're not trying to jump the Chargers or the Cardinals to take their quarterback because those teams are a threat to take their guy, they're trading up to get ahead of the market and beat the Falcons, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Saints, whoever is trying to trade up. They're just getting ahead of the market. And the way that the reports are right now, one of these teams is definitely going to trade up for a quarterback in the top 10. And the Giants, they have the softest landing spot for the Cardinals at 4th overall. They'd only be going down 2 spots, and the Cardinals are interested in trading back. Cardinals traded multiple times in last year's draft, and their general manager has said that he is more than willing to move up or move back. That is why a report came out just yesterday that said this.
I had a very smart general manager tell me 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think we all just anticipated that if the draft fell 1, 2, 3, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was there, it would be a no-brainer for the Cardinals. I don't believe that now. I think they would be more open to moving back and getting more picks if the right deal was there for a team that really wants to come up and get a quarterback.
I think there's a realness to it. I think there's a realness. So if you're at 5, maybe you have a shot.
Yeah.
You know?
So if this all were to happen and quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3, and 4, that would leave the Chargers with basically the number 1 overall pick in the draft that is a non-quarterback, and they would absolutely take Marvin Harrison Jr. because you probably don't have a team that wants to trade up to your spot, so the option to trade back is not really going to be there because the option to trade back was because teams want to trade up to get their quarterback. If every freaking quarterback went right in front of you, then all of a sudden you're sitting there in an even better position than wanting to actually just trade back because now you have the ability to draft the best player in the entire freaking draft in Marvin Harrison Jr. You add him to your offense. This is a blue chip elite prospect, and you pair him with Justin Herbert. You already have Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is not going to be on this team next year. I'm almost certain of that. You just need to beef up that offensive line, get a better running game, which I'm sure we can do later on in the draft. There's a lot of really good running backs, and all of a sudden, this offense with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., it makes me bolt up, man. They would put the NFL on notice immediately. And also, don't forget to use my code in Underdog Fantasy to enter the PS5 giveaway, man. It helps me out so much. And if you didn't see my video yesterday, I talked about the Khalil Mack trades and where he could possibly end up.